Wonka is now out playing in theaters. So this one was directed by Paul King, the man who brought us Paddington and Paddington 2, the peak of cinema, if you ask me. Okay, I might be kidding a little bit, but with this movie, it does not take very long to prove why Paul King was chosen for this movie. Because this movie is not overall one of the best movies of the year, I can tell you that right now, but this movie is one of the most delightful, charming, whimsical, magical films of the entire year. Paul King brings so much energy, so much charisma to this world with these characters. It is so colorful. It is so charming. I could not help but have a big smile on my face just watching this film because it's just fun. I went and saw this tonight with my wife, and within the first few minutes, we were totally won over and charmed by this world that Paul King had created. Another thing that we were charmed by was Timothée Chalamet as Wonka. Honestly, I'm not even going to beat around the bush. Timothée Chalamet was fantastic in this role. He had so much charisma. He brought so much energy. He brought this sense of naiveness and likability to the character of Wonka that throughout the entire movie, you just can't help but root for the guy. And this is a prequel of Willy Wonka, and it's loosely connected to the Gene Wilder Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory from 1971, which happens to be my favorite Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie. Sorry, Johnny Depp. And I say loosely because this movie never flat out connects itself to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but there's little nods in the musical tones. You'll hear some of the classic Oompa Loompa themes, and some of the classic songs from that 1971 classic make its way into the instrumental score. So if there is one tiny gripe with Willy Wonka in this movie, it's that by the end of this movie, Timothée Chalamet's Wonka, I don't see that character going on to trap kids in his chocolate factory, even if it's just to test them to see who should inherit it in the future. But regardless of that little nitpick, in this movie, Timothée Chalamet works in spades. From start to finish, he's perfect in this role, and I had an incredibly entertaining time watching him on screen. Talking about incredibly entertaining, let's talk about Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa in this movie. Now, when I saw Hugh Grant pop up as an Oompa Loompa in the Wonka trailer, that was one of the things that instantly hooked me and made me want to go see this movie. And I will say that Hugh Grant in this movie, he's probably only in it for about 10 minutes or so of the entire runtime, but when he does pop up, he leaves an impression. I thought Hugh Grant as this Oompa Loompa was honestly a show stealer for this movie. It was so perfect. It was so fun. I loved what he brought to the role. And that's something that I just have to say about Wonka again. It is fun. Now, this movie is incredibly cartoony. Now, it is a kids' family film, so I'm not going to judge it too harshly for that. For example, the villains in this movie, this chocolate cartel that are trying to prevent Willy Wonka from selling his chocolate, they are over-the-top, cartoonish villain characters. They're definitely the part of the movie where you're like, this is strictly for the children. But even with that, I wouldn't say that I was not entertained by their performances. They go so over the top. They go so wacky and silly. The actors in these roles are having a blast. It shows on screen. And it's not like they don't fit into this world. They definitely fit into this world that Paul King had created because this world is cartoony. From the get-go of this movie, they basically tell you, you gotta just buy into the fantasy of it all. Willy Wonka's basically magic in this movie, and you just gotta accept it. And along with the fantasy of this world, this movie is also a musical. And what I will say about the music of this musical is that within the movie, I thought that the songs worked pretty well. I thought that where they were placed and how they worked with the narrative of the movie was totally fine. The songs themselves, though, I don't think they're gonna be real memorable. I literally just got back from the theater and sat down to do this review, and I only remember maybe a couple of the songs, a couple of lines here and there. The music overall, I don't think stuck with me very much, and I don't think these are going to become classical tunes, so to speak, but like I said, in the movie, the choreography, the energy, all of it does lend itself to the movie very well, and it is entertaining to watch. And I think that's the thing with Wonka, is I just found myself entertained. I was smiling ear from ear with this one. I definitely think that this is more aimed towards kids, but there's also some elements of this that do work very well for adults. I don't think this movie is going to be for everyone, though, because it is a sugar rush. It goes very fast. It's a little bit too long, I will say that. I would have shaved off a couple of minutes here and there to make it just a little bit tighter. There's also a lot of characters within it, and some of the characters really fall into the background to the point where you really could have just cut them out of the movie altogether, and you wouldn't have missed a thing, and their scenes don't really add that much more to the story. But like I said, this is a kids and family film, and I don't like to judge those very harshly. What I will say about it is, as a kids and family film, I think this can entertain the entire family. It's incredibly delightful. It's incredibly charming. I laughed out loud quite a bit throughout the entire runtime. If you're a fan of the Willy Wonka character, if you just have kids and you want to have a family night out, I definitely would recommend checking out this movie. I think it's a total blast. And like I said, it's just a delightful time at the movies, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on this new Wonka movie. But what do you guys think of Wonka? Have you had a chance to check it out yet? Comment down below and let me know. I'd love to hear all your thoughts and opinions about this movie. And if you're new here and you haven't heard, we have a goal on this channel. We want to hit 2,500 subscribers before the end of the year. We are just about 40 subscribers to go from that goal. If you like talking about Willy Wonka, if you like talking about movies, well, then you're in the right place. We do that all the time over on this channel, and we'd love to have you join our community here. Consider hitting that subscribe button before you leave. As always, guys, thank you so much for hearing me out, and I hope to talk to you guys again real soon.